Okay. I'm Martin Gill. I'm with FND, and today we have Jennifer Hess. She's from the Florida Centers for Independent Living. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you. I'm here today to tell you about Centers for Independent Living. Does anybody here know anything about Centers for Independent Living? Nothing? You know anything about Centers for Independent Living?
Enough.
Not enough. I love it. Okay, there's Centers for Independent Living all over the state of Florida. We can go to the next one. There we go. And one more. The independent living philosophy is the center of what we do at CILs. The independent living movement stems from the fundamental principle that people with disabilities are entitled to the same civil rights, options, and control over their choices in their own lives as people without disabilities. Now, this was a new concept for many, many people. Go ahead to the next slide. And the movement was started by Ed Roberts. Although he was denied access to education from UC Berkeley, he was able to advocate for himself. He was told that they tried having cripples at UC Berkeley before and it just didn't work. So he said, no, that's not going to work. He had polio and he had no functional use below his neck. So he was on a ventilator, but he did graduate from UC Berkeley, and he allowed, what he did, he advocated for more accessibility, and they had a whole group of students that used wheelchairs that were able to get into Berkeley. It was really the first time that this kind of advocacy was successful on a large scale. So he was the person who spearheaded the Center for Independent Living program, the agencies. He was the beginning, the father, let's say. He was the godfather? No, the father of independent living. Let's go to the next one. Okay, Centers for Independent Living are non-residential. So we have, for every county in Florida, there is a CIL that represents them. So if you live in Broward County, there's a CIL that you can call. And we have brochures for that over at our table. One of the important things is that 51% of our staff, governing body and decision-making staff, have a disability. So it's not just people who tell people with disabilities what to do. It's actually people with disabilities serving others with disabilities. Another thing that makes us different than some of the other agencies is we have community-driven programs. And the community-driven programs are those that focus on the needs of our specific community that we serve. Our needs here in Pinellas County are different than those in Broward County. So we create programs to fill the needs and to be able to serve our populations properly. So CILs are actually federally mandated, and we are actually in the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. That's a pretty big deal because it gives us the ability to serve. And I'm going to go over the core services. So let's go on to the next one. Okay, here's a map of all the CILs. You have, and it shows that there is a CIL that covers every county. Okay, core services. This is what the Centers for Independent Living are built on. Information and referral services, and that's pretty self-explanatory. We give information. We help people find resources and referrals to get to the services that they need. Independent living skills. So what does independent living skills mean to you? What is independent living skills?
Being able to live on your own.
Being able to live independently, like on your own. Okay. What does independent living skills mean to you?
Maybe being able to have a bank account.
Maybe.
At least a debit card.
Okay. Financial independence, right?
Yeah.
So how about you? What does independent living mean to you? Okay. You don't have to answer me. It's all right. How about you?
Being able to live on your own independently and successfully.
Okay. Well, you know what? Independent living is different for each person. And for some people, it does mean being able to live on your own independently. But for other people, It could mean that they want to be able to go to the grocery store for themselves. They may want to be able to use the toilet for themselves, and they need some adaptive technology. So for each person, that idea of independence is different, and that is their idea of independence, not mine, not yours, not the government's. So it really has a broader range than what you were thinking. Peer mentoring, what does that mean? Peers, right? People like us. So peer mentoring is a person with a disability helping support and advocate for a person with a disability. But let's say I don't look like I've got a disability, right? So how can I be a peer mentor? Well, because I have worked with people with disabilities, I empathize, I have a lot of knowledge. If I have somebody that has a specific need, let's say they had a spinal cord injury, then we know people who have had spinal cord injuries that will talk to them, that will work through that process with them. So peer mentoring, it goes beyond just, counseling, because it's not counseling. It's support with your peers. Okay, individual and self-advocacy. You know what that means, right? Okay, on all the IEPs, it says advocate for themselves in the classroom with the teacher 80% of the time, right? It's always one of the goals. And that means being able to tell people when you need something. All right, so my daughter's IEP says that, no, it's my son's IEP, says that he needs to advocate for himself with the teacher when he has tics, because he's got Tourette syndrome. So when he had tics and he wanted to be able to leave the classroom because he was bothering the other students, he needed to advocate for himself to do that. Okay. Systemic advocacy. So with systemic advocacy, it is exactly what it sounds like. It's advocacy with the system. A lot of the time, I am working with the public school system as an advocate for parents.
My teacher didn't show up.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll go with the parents to the IEP meetings. They don't know. A lot of times they forget. You know what? This mom doesn't know what an accommodation is. What does accommodation mean? They don't know what the IEP stands for. They don't know the jargon, and there's these professionals and they're throwing all this jargon out. They're saying, you can't do this, you can't do that. No, I'm sorry, we can't give your daughter what she needs. And I can go in there and I can say, okay, wait, Mom, do you understand what's going on? And then they slow down. They take it easier.
Oh,
yeah.
Did I go too soon?
No, we're good.
Okay.
We are the Disability Achievement Center. That is the name of our Center for Independent Living. So we're a non-residential, nonprofit agency that serves anybody in Pasco or Pinellas County that has a disability, regardless of their age. Any questions? All right, let's go to the next one. These are some examples of our community-driven programs. One of the things that we have is the Modular Ramp Loaner Program. This is very important to our community because there is no way for especially people in Pasco County to get funding to get a ramp if they live in a mobile home. So there are programs, if they live in a regular home, a wood frame house or a cement block house, they can get funding from the county if they can't afford it. There's nothing for people who are in mobile homes. And much of our population are in mobile homes. So this program, although it has an enormous waiting list, it is so necessary. So we have the modular ramps. Are you familiar with them? Okay. They're those metal ramps. They're aluminum, and they have the little diamond squares in them. And they come in parts. So you have the platforms, and you have the lengths of ramp, and then you have another platform. Sometimes they have to switch back because a ramp has to be 1 foot per inch. So for every inch high, that ramp has to be 1 foot long. So when you're talking about a mobile home, you're talking about a honking big ramp. You know, we had one that was 54, was it 54 inches? 54 inches high, so that's 54 feet long. Switch back, switch back, switch back. So we can help people with that. That person was not able to get out of their house until they got that. When she's finished with it, what we'll do is we'll go and we'll disassemble it, and then it will be reassembled in the right configuration at somebody else's house. And hopefully it will fit 2 people's houses, because that was a really big room. So deaf services. Anybody familiar with deaf people? You? Okay. So what we do is we do a variety of things, and my specialty is deaf and hard of hearing. So before, there was not a community need to have deaf services for adults, because there was another agency that was doing that. But now, about 2 years ago, the Deaf and Hearing Connection shut down, went out of business, finances gone. So now there was a need in the community. And we have been working to fill that need to provide services for deaf people. But we're a little different than a deaf center. What makes us different is we're a center of independent living. So we aren't going to hold their hand, make phone calls for them. We're going to teach them how to make the phone calls for themselves using the technology that we have available. So that's the difference. So now, when I have a person who comes in and they say, mail, Social Security, don't know, says, scared, right? I can say, oh, have you called them? Did they explain what happened? You call for me. No, you see the video phone over there? Do you know how to use that? No. Remember last week you were in here, you told me you didn't know how to use the video phone? And I showed you? Okay, well, then let's do the same thing again. And sometimes I need to sit with them and do a few phone calls on the VP. Sometimes they just don't understand. They don't understand the systems. And that's a lot of what we do. We educate, we support, and we help them to be independent as possible. So that is another example. We also do deaf alerting equipment distribution. So that means like a doorbell. So a deaf person, they can't hear a doorbell, right? So we give them a doorbell and the lights flash. Alarm clocks, smoke detectors, things that insurance won't pay for. And that brings us to the medical equipment recycling program. This is also based on providing equipment for people that they don't have any way to get. We're the payer of last resort, which means if a person can provide it for themselves, if insurance will provide it for them, then we're not going to be able to help them with that. But fortunately, we are here, and we can help them get bedside commodes, toilet risers, shower chairs, shower wands, grab bars in their shower. We have some home modifications that we have done in the past, door widenings. So imagine you suddenly have to get a rollator through your bathroom door. Can you do it? Right. So that's where we can help out. Most of the people that we help are on Social Security Disability, or SSI. So those are the most of the people that we work with. But we do work with anyone who needs the help. Any questions about the medical equipment recycling program? Okay, and this part of the CIL is really recycling. People donate the items to us, we clean them up, we give them out to the next person who needs it. So youth transition. We were doing work with the Lift Academy, and that was wonderful. And now we are starting to do more of the transition with the youth. So we're doing that in a variety of ways. One of them was the independent living class that we had, and that again will hopefully be started soon, right? All right, cool. So that's definitely one of our focuses for the future.
Yes, it started, you say next week?
No.
No, I don't have a date, I wish.
No.
I was like, what?
But I am beginning a budgeting class for deaf and hard of hearing individuals next week, March 5th, at our agency, which is in Largo, if you're familiar with Belcher Road. Okay. The tobacco cessation. This is a grant that we got from, is it USF? USF, and it's the AHEC, AHEC. And it helps, our specific part of this is to help serve people with disabilities as they're trying to quit smoking or using tobacco products. It is highly successful. But again, it has to go with the independent living philosophy. And this one fits in very well because we provide the tools, we provide the education and the support, but they have to provide the motivation. Specific assistance. Now, the specific assistance is to help with those things that don't fall into the MRF program, that don't fall into the modular ramp program, that don't fall into the deaf learning equipment. A person needs something that might be a little different, a donning aid to help them put their socks on. That could be very important and we don't really think about that as being able to be independent. But imagine if you could not put on your socks independently. Being able to do that would give you a tremendous amount of independence. So that's one of the specific things that we think about when we're doing specific assistance. Makes sense, right? Specific. Okay, all right, let's go to the next slide. It's all about the goals. Wait, I won't start singing.
I promise.
Okay, not everybody is ready for independent living. They have to have the desire to want to become more independent. They have to be willing to try. And it's their goals that we're going to be working towards. We help them write a goal and then help them write the plan to achieve that goal. Now, at first, our first meeting, we may not have a workable plan. We may not even have a workable goal, but we may have gotten to the point where they're thinking about what they really want. Do they really want to live independently? No, I'm afraid to live without mom and dad. Okay, mom and dad want you to be independent. Do you want to be independent? Sometimes. Sometimes I don't. So we're going to be working with what that individual wants to do. So when we're writing the plan, we put in specific goals and time limits to reach those specific parts of the goals. If they don't reach them, there's no punishment. I'm not going to stop working with them. It's about helping them to do as much as they can. So it's their job to follow through on the plan, not mine. I'm not going to be calling you. I'm not going to be nagging you. Center for Independent Living, you're an adult. You can do it. Revising the plan. Okay, so now you have this plan, but you're figuring out it won't work specifically. So we go through again, what's not working about it? Okay, well, what can we do to make it different? Okay, what can we do to widen the scope, to narrow the scope? Achieving the goal. That's the most important part. So let's say your goal is to toilet more independently. You get a toilet riser. Yay, you're finished. Okay, maybe your goal is more specific. I need a lawyer so I can get a divorce. Okay, I need a domestic violence injunction and I'm deaf. So those are the things that might be longer term goals. Or I need a power wheelchair. Those are longer term goals too. So these are some other CIL initiatives that we have. Youth transition from school to work to independence. What we were talking about right here at this conference. Accessibility services for home modifications. We have that program. Community education on accessibility. So we're talking about individual education with each of our consumers, but we're also talking about wider, broader education for places like hospitals. Okay. Nursing home transition and / diversion. Are you familiar with this one? Okay, there is a program and it is waiver based. Even though I know that the whole med waiver thing is changed around. It is waiver based and it helps people who are in nursing homes transition into independent community living. Pre-employment services. That's a lot of what we do every day. So do any of you have people that need that pre-employment services? Do you know what pre-employment services are?
Not sure.
Okay, Pre-employment services are the skills that a person needs in order to find a job and sustain the job. Okay, so it would be, what is your name and address? Do you know your name and address? Do you know your phone number? Do you know your social security number? Those are the things that might need to be worked on before they do that. I know a lot of the transition programs through the public school system already do that, and that's wonderful. But if they need that help, then it's there for them. Employment services. Now, most of the CILs do employment services through vocational rehab. Are you familiar with them? Okay, awesome. So we do the supported employment and the employment services. But because there's such a long waiting list right now, it's really slowed down. So you're gonna be seeing a little bit of change. It's gonna be a little bit harder for your youth to get the VR services they really need. Crime victims advocacy. We're gonna hook them up with the right people and give them the support to do that. Exercise and recreational activities. I'd love to have that. Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, a lot of CILs do have this, and it helps to have a community of people who are like you to go out and do things with. Okay, support groups. Pretty self-explanatory, right? All right. Loan closet of durable medical equipment. A lot of places do have a loan closet. A lot of the CILs have a loan closet. We have a give closet, which is the medical equipment recycling program that I discussed earlier. It is just too difficult with as much population as we have to say, call up and say, hey, you still using that wheelchair? So we do ask, if you don't need it anymore, you can bring it back to us. We'll give it out to the next person. Interpreting services. We don't provide interpreting services, but Orlando does. Gainesville does. So those two that I know of, I know Miami does. So a lot of them do provide interpreter services. They're not free. People pay for those interpreters. But it is a service that is provided. Goal! Yeah? All right. Any questions?
What would you say is the current youth or transition youth services that you guys do today?
What we do today, individually, we've been working individually with our consumers as they come in and they have those needs. It could be, I don't know, pre-employment counseling. I know that we were doing that Tyson was doing that with our one consumer. It could be adjusting to the social aspects. What are we going to be doing? This is my supervisor, Nicole. Hi.
I saw Nicole earlier.
So Nicole, do we have any information about what we're doing?
No, we don't currently have a formal youth transition services program.
Okay.
It's in development.
Okay.
And working that way.
Okay.
Certainly we're the direction we're heading, but we don't have it. So right now, all youth transition services are individual based.
Individual based.
Yes.
Okay. And then how would somebody? What's the average? Are there age restrictions, or how does somebody come in and I guess start that?
We are required to serve any person with disability, any age, no matter
Okay.
what your financial status is. So all of our services are free
Okay.
and any disability and age, so come on in.
Yeah.
Give us a call and
Okay.
most likely that's gonna look like that plan that Jenny was talking about. So we're gonna sit down with you, we're gonna find out what the need is,
Okay.
and then we're gonna develop a plan on how to get there, how to get to that goal, how to get that goal achieved. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Question? Do you have any questions for me, sir?
What's the goal to live on your own?
One more time. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm hard of hearing. Let me go a little closer. I'm listening.
What's the goal to live on your own?
Okay, what's the goal to live on your own? Well, the goal to live on your own is different for each person. Do you want to live on your own? All right. That is a good goal to have. And there's so many different ways of reaching that goal. And it's going to be based on what you need. So if you'd like to discuss how you can get to that goal, you can come on in and we can discuss it personally if you want. Okay? Well, wait, what county do you live in?
No,
All right. We're good then, right?
Well,
All right. Do you have any questions?
Is there a fee for your services?
No, everything's free. Being as it's a nonprofit, we don't charge for our services at all.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I'm a volunteer at Disability Achievement Center. And I started going there when my daughter was doing a life skills class. And I started volunteering and I was on a cane at that time. And then I needed a rollator walker and they got me a rollator walker. And then my insurance provided me with a power chair. And then when my insurance dropped me, they took my power chair away.
oh my God.
I talked with everybody with disability, they got me a power chair. And by the way, it was returned on Friday.
Awesome.
Shirley's son came and picked it up.
Great.
And these people are phenomenal. I'm there Tuesday from 9 to 1 answering the phones. My name is Cindy Dyer. And these people, I can't tell you how wonderful they all are and how much they care about the people who call.
We do.
Thank you.
We do. We're about our people. Do you have any other questions?
How many consumers do you guys serve? Like, is it an annual
Actively?
number or, yeah, is it?
Right now, actively, I have 133 on my caseload. I cover Pasco County and all the deaf and hard of hearing in both counties.
Okay.
I think that the average caseload for other people is about 88. But people come in and out, and people are at various levels in their goals. So it's not like we have beginning writing goals with everybody. Some people are in the process. But we serve anybody who's come through. I don't have the numbers on how many we served last year. Do you have?
About 800 people.
About 800 people, yeah.
That being active consumer, so, there's lots that call in, they just need a phone number. You know, they just
Okay.
need to know who else to call.
Who do I need? I need my electric paid. Who do I call? Well, Mid-Florida in Pasco County. So we tell them what the requirements are and we help them to get that phone number and tell them, you know, I try to walk people through the process because they get very discouraged. I called and I left a message and nobody ever called me back. I know, sometimes you just have to be patient. Sometimes I can make that phone call for them and they will get the help easier.
Mhm.
They still have to fulfill all the requirements, but they are able to get that contact with a real person to help them. But I don't actually have any real power.
Sometimes I just have to go sit in an office to get waited on.
Yeah,
I don't know how many times I've called and nothing till you actually go there. I
right,
don't know why that is.
right. We have the number for the DCF Access Florida people. They came and did an in-service. They said, if you have any problems, give us a call. So we have a behind the scenes number on
I
that.
have a question too. I have a student that I'm working with that is an independent student, but he's currently homeless. Can you help him secure housing or?
We can help put him in the right direction to secure housing. I would probably hook him up with HEP, but there's, is he 18?
Actually, he's 20.
20. Let me think about that one.
Okay.
Because I've been working more on finding housing for people, so I'm kind of getting more familiar with it.
Thank you.
Do you have a card?
I do, I have cards. Any more questions? You know, well, yeah.
No.
Any questions? No? All right, well, you guys are wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we have time to spare this time.
Am I blocking?
No.